purity, meaning
¿Y cómo tú te metiste?
You're adding things to this marriage that doesn't go. Whether it's adding another girl to the bed, whether it's adding another guy to the bed.
Tengo que entender que esa Safari, para eso era que tú querías mi iPad.
Sí, pero me veo 2 veces.
If it doesn't stay pure,
tú estabas ahí.
Have a problem because it's not meant to be.
Pero dice que está poniendo en YouTube.
So I have a question about that. So I shouldn't drink alcohol because I do like to.
No, I don't want to go deep into that study because that's going to be a class within itself. What I'm saying is you can do whatever you want. Just these are the pillars. If you move them, you're going to have a problem. So that's probably going to play into why you have problems, because if you're not going to be balanced, like let's say if I'm going to be smoking all day and my views are not going to be clear, then I could be interjecting an emotion on my partner that is not even true, but I'm feeling it because I'm adding something to this. Okay. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
So let's say he comes in and he's drinking all the time, and then he's dealing with her aggressively. So is that going to be a problem?
For sure.
All right. So that's the purity part. So let's say he sniffs cocaine, and now he's taking the rent money, and the rent ain't never on time. Is that going to be an issue? Right.
For sure.
So it's pillars that God put in place to protect the marriage. But society keeps saying, but what if I want to do something outside of this? And then they get upset that it doesn't work. But what I'm saying is, a fish is not supposed to live outside of water. So if you keep taking the fish outside of water, you can't get upset the fish is not living. There's no long life to it. There's only going to be longevity if people are following those rules. Now, there's people that are not born again. They're not Christian, but they follow those same things. And their marriage works. In all the marriages that work, you'll see most of the time those 4 things. Now, don't be confused by somebody that's been married 30 years, but they let each other have sex with other people. That's not what we're talking about. You get what I'm saying? They've been married 40 years, but 20 of the years, if you let any man have 4 other girlfriends, he probably could stay longer and be happy. We're not talking about him being happy with 4 other girls. We're talking about him being happy with just you. So let's be clear of the kind of marriage I'm talking about.
That was so good, Mase. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What? It makes you think. It's like really good food for thought.
Yeah, so we're not talking, it's a different marriage that we're talking about. We're not talking about the Hollywood marriage where you swing and she gets her little boyfriend and you get your little girlfriend, and then y'all tolerate each other.
Pues dame el teléfono tuyo.
Tolerating. We're talking about celebrating each other.
Oh, hey, Mase.
Vea que tú estás cocinando, entonces en el teléfono.
Besides the possession part, because I understand you signing on a dotted line, meaning that you're committing that you belong to somebody else. But as you're dating, in your dating phase, or you're a fiance and you're getting to prepare about to be married, do you think you should be looking at those 4 pillars beforehand?
Yes, but you don't belong to them until you belong to them. And that's all what we're going to be studying in that school. Like, when do I belong to him? Well, you belong to him after that ceremony. Until that ceremony, you don't belong to him. So you're not responsible to do all of the things a wife should do until you are a wife. Just like he's not responsible to be
So he
paying
would go
all
with the
your
stream?
bills and taking care of you like a husband until he is your husband.
Did y'all hear that one?
And today, society, people are asking you to treat them like they're your wife and they're not. They want to go on trips. They want you to pay for things. No, you're not. You're not my wife. If you're not my wife, I shouldn't be paying for all of this like I'm your husband. See, people are getting it backwards. So then that's why when people get married, if you're acting like a husband before you are a husband, and by the time you become a husband, that's why she wants something more. And that something more doesn't exist.
¿Y cómo cayó eso?
Because she's thinking you should go to a whole new level. And it's like, no,
Pero ¿qué tú tienes dos cosas? ¿Para qué tú quieres más?
Quería 3.
and that's why those kind of relationships are doomed from the beginning. And she's like, you've been doing all this when we was just dating. You already doing too much.
Or like the opposite, right? So they're already drinking and doing all of this stuff, and then you get married and you're expecting them to change. How can that impact the marriage?
Exactly. So the courting phase and the dating phase is for you to see if this is what you want to submit to. Is this what you want to submit to paying for? Is this what you want to submit to leading? Do you submit to belonging to him? Do you submit to him being the first priority, even after you have children? Do you submit to her being first priority?
That priority thing, you got to dig deeper into that. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's going to be a major even class right there, because when priority, people think, well, I got children, my children come first, but the children come. If you keep it in the right priority, it's going to be a blessing, because what people normally do is the marriage is first until they have children. And then after they have children, the children become first, which sets the children up to fail in relationships, because we're always putting somebody.
So you got to click on it.
The person that was first. Like, me understanding that without my wife, I wouldn't have my sons. So therefore, if you meet some people through me, they don't become more important than me. You met them through me.
So you're not going to show it. My man.
It took me to make them. So they can't be before me, and just like it took you to help me give birth to them. So they can never be before you, because without you, I wouldn't have them. And when you teach your children like that, they're going to go on to have great families as well. But if you teach them the opposite way, you're going to set them up to fail and set yourself up to fail. Because how do you make somebody second for 18 years, and then when the children move out, you're going to put your spouse back, number one? You're going to treat me like number two for 20 years, and then after 22 years, I get to be number one again? How would that work for you all?
Great point.
And that's why after children leave the house, people get divorced after 20 years, after 30 years. And we on the outside say, how could that happen? I just told you how. You've been putting me second, third, and fourth for 20 years. Now, the day they move out, you're going to try to act like I'm number one again? No, I'm over it. You got the purpose. Yeah, you get used to being second, and you get used to treating your spouse as second, and they just find a new number one on you. So these are things I know people do not know. I know people don't know this stuff. I don't have to wonder if they know it. I know they don't know it.
How long did it take for you to kind of realize this and then start applying it in your marriages?
I'm still applying it. But it took me about 6 years. You know how people say certain things. They used to say a 7-year itch and all of that stuff. And I just, you know, when you grow up in a family that didn't work, you family matters to you. Most people that didn't have a good family want to make sure that they do have a great family. So I started realizing that a lot of what I was teaching was very family based. And I knew in order to have inner peace, I'm going to have a good family. And it made me start seeking people that knew about this stuff. I would read psychology books, all type of stuff like that. And I was like, man, I'm getting more headstrong, but this is still not answering my question. I had questions about marriage, and then I started running into great authors that wrote amazing stuff on family and marriages. And I took some of those courses, and I had to, you know, go on marriage retreats and by myself. Like, and I remember just sitting there in the retreat, listening to the stuff.
It sounds like you did a lot.
Saying, wow, I'm not good at all at this. Like, because everything
Mase.
I grew up thinking was wrong. Everything. From how to treat her, to how to talk to her, to how to speak. Just everything.
Is there a certain age?
Everything I was taught was wrong. I was like, no wonder I'm not happy. No wonder she gets upset with me. And I'm thinking like this. Everything I was taught in music, everything I saw on TV was wrong. I was like, man, I gotta go back to the drawing board. And I start implementing this stuff, and you know, like most guys, they start implementing it at the end of going through a divorce. You know, they get better. And I didn't know why God was having me learn this stuff if I wasn't going to be with him. Why am I learning this now? And then, you know, he ended up putting my family back together, and I had an opportunity to implement all this stuff. But when I was learning it, I was thinking, wow, I want to be better. I want to know better. And I realized when I would teach it to people, it would just work so well. Like, people's marriages would just go to the next level. And TMZ has started hating on me. They was like, oh, he teach so much about family. I didn't know TMZ was keeping up on me. Until they put that out, I'm like, wow, it made it all the way to TMZ. And so for me, it took after like 6 years, and I say I'm still working on it because it's a lifelong thing. This information I know is not enough that I know. I got to still put it in practice.
Mase, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you did a lot and it took time. Is there a certain age you think people should start thinking about getting married or looking for marriage? Because, you know, you have a lot of young kids that make that mistake in getting married in their early 20s or, you know? Do you have like a age you would recommend?
I mean, first off, I don't think you're ever too. I don't think age determines if you're ready for marriage. I think it's the mindset. Because I got married at, 23? Or somewhere around there like that. I got married like really early, but man, I went through things, but I think the longer people wait, the harder it becomes to accept someone. Like,
True.
It's almost easier when you get married younger for some people because you're both growing together versus it when you got your own house, you got your own money. More. This